Einstein did say, in accordance to the ether in his book referring to the speed of light, as the air, meaning ether, above it to have been removed, meaning a vacuum. Albert Einstein Relativity. He was stating that in his experiments and thought examples that he only used ether in vacuum. This statement isolated his argument, taking the ether out of the equation, exhausting all related questions about the nature of it. However, if you would put a Tesla coil in vacuum, it is my estimation that it may perform the same as the reference video illustrated by the figure above. The air pressure, although not in vacuum, would remain constant throughout the video. The lack of air pressure does ground drones and insects like flies in vacuum. According to Neil Degrasse Tyson, sound and radio waves do not go through space vacuum. Given that quote, it is in the realm of possibility that it may thwart an electric volt from a Tesla gun. But this is unlikely because most of space is in vacuum and light travels with very little impedance in that regard. This paper is conclusive on the basis of observation and attempted explanation of the natural world that in some frameworks the speed of light has different values in different places. The true nature of light on Earth is rarely found in vacuum. The speed of light in vacuum should be considered only a rare species or type of light for us to diagnose and is mostly exclusively found in outer space. Luch and Sanchez Soto say that there should be, by their calculations, on the order of 100 species of particles that have charges in lifescience.com. A common theme in this paper and other papers of mine is the introduction to a degree of entropy of light and its measurements along with the ether that contain it. Considering the current paradigm, I realize I'm contradicting and refuting a reported scientific axioms held by convention. Opening up these concepts to a degree of unknowability compared to the prescribed viewpoints is a goal of this audiobook. I do not currently have any direct viewpoints or nomenclature to mitigate and define the countless species of light except slow motion video measurements and sensitive lasers and sensors that are currently already in use. The accuracy of both the currently held constantality of light and the bevy of species of light need to be vetted in accordance with scientific principles. These concepts should open up the scientific community to a plethora of conceptual light patterns and degrees of explanation to explain such observations. It is my estimation that these observations are worth being brought to the forefront of the scientific inquiry. Unlike my prior statement of entropic states of light, I've observed on many different occasions that there is a degree of order and symmetry to the nature of the Earth's solar system, galaxy, and universe. That order and symmetry could extend to light as well. Another concept worth clarifying is a contradiction to current scientific observations. I implore you to think of a thought experiment at a train station where Einstein so eloquently stated his theoretical paradoxes of the nature of time. To define our thought experiment, there will be two opposing inertial frames of reference. One party will have a vertical interferometer with minimal tilt at rest with mirrors bouncing light off each other, and the other observer will have the same vertical interferometer with minimal tilt on a train that is moving expeditiously with constant speed. Both parties at rest will see the interferometer as what is represented in figure above, a vertical light path. We will call this a baseline path of light. From the relative observation point at rest of the still observer looking at the train moving at a constant expeditious rate, one would see a more W-shaped light path as seen in the figure above. This light would travel a longer distance per time and hence have a different speed comparatively to the still observer, whom still sees the light path in a more vertical path outlined in the figure above. Both observation points still agree on time. In order to preserve the constantality of light, then the distance per time period would need to agree in both observation points. In my estimations, their distance per time values, according to their light clocks, would be skewed at high speeds or inertial frames. The above figures do not agree on distance of each reference frame. Length contraction is another pillar of special relativity that is theorized to happen by Einstein, whom I believe is a brilliant scientist. If you accept the fact that there are different species, speeds, and qualities of light, then it is logical that there could be a different measurement of length of mass or different contractions of matter that are malleable according to speed and distance of that light traveled per time period per each reference frame. This is central to our understanding of principles of science. When you look at those speeding cars on, say, the Indianapolis 500, it does seem that in fast motion, the length of the car has been shrunk, possibly at viewers' relative perspective compared to analyzing the car at rest. This may be attributed to an observational mirage and possibly an effect of our own human experience, or according to special relativity, the constructs of matter may actually change and are proportional to speed. If we use the same perspective situation of the above paradox at the railroad station, one observer in the fast-moving car seeing an interferometer move normally and the other at rest seeing the light move in diagonal relationship and therefore covering a greater distance per time period. Given both observation points agreeing on time, if you juxtapose the longer light path per time derivative with the theory of length contraction where mass seems to get smaller at high speeds, the question arises, would the light and hence distance of the light traveled by the moving observer calculated by the still observation point grow longer? Also, would the length of the train grow shorter? Current cosmological thinking says yes. If you take the above concept of light clocks and distance traveled by the light per period of time, this creates a longer path of light and in turn creates time dilation. This allows time to tick slower. The contraction of mass and the distance light travels per time derivative grows longer. The idea of length contraction came from Joseph Larmor, Hendrik Lorentz, and Albert Einstein. They concluded that electrons that move faster in still reference frame have different measurements of length and time. This length contraction effect causes time dilation and elongating of distance comparatively to a rest frame, which creates a complex situation at relativistic speeds according to special relativity. Also, another paradox that can be arrived on is that if time can be a function of light years, then time could have a velocity as well and be a function of displacement in a system. In varying planetary bodies, Jupiter, the fastest spinner in our solar system, at 28,273 miles per hour, would have to increase its speed significantly to cause a noticeable length contraction, which is unlikely. There is a theoretical possibility in most likely other solar systems that a planetary body moving extremely quickly under the description of special relativity could have contracted length of the circumference of that particular planet. Likewise, it is conceivable that the planetary body can move quick enough in rotation to affect its circumference and bend its reading of pi r squared, and circumvent its essential makeup and form. None have been observed, but they are theoretical possibilities.